Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and welcome to the first episode in the Project Cars Online series. So this series is basically going to be where I bring you guys the best online races that I participate in on Project Cars and actually talk about the racing action that we see on the screen. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about that later on in the video and explain where that fits in with my other Project Cars series and series in general on my channel. But first of all, we've got a race on the Catalunya Grand Prix circuit in GT3 cars, and we had about a 15-minute qualifying session beforehand. So this is skipping to the very end of my first flying lap on that qualifying session, and as you can see, I'm getting held up quite badly by this car in front. I did actually leave a bit of space as I went on to that first flying lap, but I was able to catch him up as you're seeing here, and I really do lose a lot of time in this final sector. Now I just have to go and make the best of it. I have to finish the lap because it is my first flying lap. I just need to put a representative lap time in there, which I do manage to do, but it is way off the pace. It's about a 1 minute 49 I believe, which is significantly off the pace, although it does put me into P1 first place, and I do manage to keep that first place for quite a while. So that surprised me, but now, obviously, I don't want to get caught up in all of the issues that I've had on that lap. So I use this next lap to basically take a bit of a breather. Let a few cars go by because I don't want to get caught up in them as I'm trying to set a quick lap. And that's what you've got to do in a qualifying session. You've got to find some space for yourself. So as you can see here, as we skip on a bit further, as I come on to my second lap, there's if you look on the map in the top left, there's nobody in front of me for a long way, and that's what I used that slow down lap for, just to get a bit of a space so I could put in a proper representative lap time without being held up. And that's what I managed to do this time. I go significantly quicker on this lap. I am in P3 at the moment, as you can see in the bottom left, and then this put me back into P1, which this is the point where I hold it for quite a while, with a 147 there, as you can see. So with a qualifying session, it's quite good to have qualifying sessions, in my opinion, on Project Cars, because it allows everybody to get a feel for the cars, get a feel for the track as well, and it really does just allow everybody to just get into the zone of what they're going to do for a race, rather than just going straight into the race and having issues. Now, as you can see, this is the last lap that I'm going to be starting here. I did a bit of a slowdown lap, but at that point I get put down from first place to second place in the qualifying, strangely enough by the person who's directly behind me as well. So he just crossed the line in first place, got the best lap time of the session. So I've basically got one lap to try and beat that, because the time is starting to run out. So I know that he's behind me as well, so if I'm able to gap him a little bit, which it seems like I'm able to do at the moment. I'm up on my own best lap in the first sector there, as you saw on the screen, and it seems like I'm able to pull away from him a little bit. Then I know that I will set a decent lap time, and hopefully that will get me up into first place. But obviously, it's quite a high pressure situation when you've only got one lap left, and I end up hitting the curb there a bit too hard on the inside and ruin that lap. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to qualify in pole position and see what lap time that would have been, but I was still qualifying in second place, and here we are for the start of the race. Now I actually get a really decent start. I time it absolutely perfectly and get straight up into first place. Now I said that the qualifying session is where people start to get used to the cars a little bit, and you would imagine that it would be a little bit easier for people to not have any issues at the start, but that's never really the case. The guy who was on pole position goes right on the inside there, and he cuts the corner completely really, and almost takes a few people out but manages to get away, as you can see. And then I end up in the pack with a lot of these other drivers. Now the damage wasn't on. I'll explain a little bit more about the lobby itself in a little while, but damage was not on, so that was probably a good thing at that point. And as you can see, I end up getting sort of turned around a little bit going down that straight and lose a load of positions. So I'm pretty far back at this point, which is a shame considering I'd had a reasonably good qualifying as well, and a good start to get up into first place straight away. That's kind of what you expect in a lobby like this. So this lobby is a random lobby. Now, most of the races that I've done, that I had done before this, were with people in our general community, you know, the GTA racing community as well, the friends that we've made through there. Some of those guys are very, very quick because they're playing the game a lot more. And in general, you know, everybody who's in a lobby like that, whether it's on a stream or not, will know what they're doing to at least some extent, and not have any issues. That's not to say that we don't have crashes and incidents and things like that, but it's a lot less frequent than it is on a random lobby like this. And this was actually the very first random lobby that I actually joined. I just went onto the lobby page, chose a random lobby, and joined it and did this race. So it turned out to be quite good for that. Now, this is a point where I'm looking back thinking something's going to kick off here. I can see it in the mirror. I look back a little bit, and as you see from the replay footage here, we'll just see two cars fly completely past there. I narrowly managed to miss it, thankfully. But yeah, that was a hairy moment, and you've got to use a bit of experience in those situations. You know, I was looking back, I saw those two getting together in the rear view mirror, and I knew something was going to happen, so I just moved over to the right a little bit early, turned into that corner a little bit early to get out of the way a little bit. So this is some replay footage of the same race, and if you noticed, you might have noticed already, but for some reason the replay footage is changing the cars that I'm racing against. So the guy who's in first place was actually in a McLaren. Now he's in an Aston Martin. The car in third place is not the same car that is actually in third place in the race. It seems like the replay footage has just mixed up all of the car models, which is strange. I can't remember that happening on other replay footage, but it's something that I'm going to definitely keep an eye on in future. But yeah, just take into account that when you do see a bit of replay footage like this, the guy in first place is actually in an orange McLaren, not an orange Aston Martin. So yeah, that was just a little bit weird. I'll probably do a discussion video on something like that later on. There are a few bugs that need to be fixed, and obviously that's one of them. And yeah, hopefully that's not this might have just been a one-off. So yeah, I've put in a reasonably decent lap at this point. You know, I'm in second place pretty comfortably after that crazy first lap, and I managed to put in a reasonably decent lap with a 1:47 here, which is actually a tenth of a second better than the best lap that I got in the qualifying session. So things are going okay. I'm thinking, right, I'll see if I can try to catch up a little bit, because I was on the pace, you know, when it comes to the qualifying session. If I'd managed to actually get that last lap in, I think I would have been reasonably close to getting first place on the grid. So I feel like in this race I've got the underlying pace. I'm pretty confident with the track and the car, and as you can see, I'm starting to catch up to the guy in first place. You know, I'm setting best sector times as well. I'm gapping the guy behind in third place. Things are starting to go quite well. Now, the problem when you start racing on a game like this, it takes time to get used to it. You know, this was by no means my first online race. It takes time to get used to the mechanics of the game, the tracks themselves and the cars. When you race against people who are playing all the time, like the guys in our community, they know the cars now. You know, they're quick. So when you go on a game like this and you race against those guys, first of all, you're going to lose, and I've lost quite a few times, and that's natural. You know, that's what you should be expecting on something like this. So for me, it was when I came into this random race lobby, I wasn't really expecting anything. I didn't really have any confidence in my own abilities, if you like. I didn't have any confidence in the fact that I was able to put in quick lap times or do anything decent, you know, because my only reference point was people who were much better than the people you're probably seeing in this lobby. So yeah, I was on a bit of low confidence with the game in general, so it was really nice to come into this race and start to have things work a little bit more. And that's why the title of this video is what it is. You know, the pace is still there, because it was the first sort of race that I did online where I felt, yes, you know, with a bit of practice on a track and a car combination that I'm comfortable with, the pace is still there. I am still quick. I am still able to make an impression in these races. It's just going to take a bit of, practice and getting used to. As you can see, I am catching up to the guy in first place, still being able to catch up to him despite finishing second in the qualifying. I'm just keeping it nice and smooth. And yeah, I was feeling quite confident, and even if I wasn't to win this race, I would be happy with the way that I've gone about it and what I've managed to do in it. So yeah, this was kind of the very first online race that I did where I kind of got that confidence to say, okay, I do have that pace. And this series is going to be all about this sort of thing. The discussion series that is more about discussing things to do with the game and maybe giving some tips and things like that regarding, as we've seen, controller setups and steering wheel guides. But the footage that's on the screen doesn't really matter in those discussion videos. In this online series, I want the footage to actually mean something, to actually matter. And that's what you're going to be getting, some great races. It was a shame that this guy was cutting the last corner there. That was really probably what allowed him to get that win, because he did it on every single lap. Obviously just knew about it. That's something else that they need to fix. But yeah, that's also something that I'll more likely be discussing in the discussion series. That's a topic for there, where I'll talk about bugs, I'll talk about things that I think need improving. This series is kind of like my old Forza Flashback series, where I'm literally just talking about the racing action, and similar to the real life racing series as well, where I've got a race and I want to talk about that race, try to give some tips on what I've done, explain my thought processes, things like that. And that's what this series is all going to be about. So I want to know from you guys what you think about this. Is this a series that you're looking forward to? And also let me know what kind of thing you'd like to see from it. Do you like having this replay footage intertwined with it? I didn't use as much of it this time because obviously of the problems with it changing the cars around. But is that something that you like to see, or do you want to just see all of it from my perspective with all of the, obviously, the lap counters and the lap time counters and things like that? Or would you prefer different views, sort of cockpit views and things like that from the replay footage? Let me know down below. Let me know what you want to see, and I'll do my best to try and get that to you. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. I do have a few races still to go for this series that I've already got in mind. So yeah, they shouldn't be too long for the next one. And let me know what you think down below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.